All right, Mikaela and folks, students, Ardent Fam. This is the Ardent Family Podcast
Yep.
where what's the slogan?
Where we go deeper into conversations we're already having at youth group.
Yes. And I'm so excited because we are doing a series that I've been waiting like 2-ish years for. Maybe not
Literally
two, like
2
a
years.
year and a half. We're starting a series on the Sermon on the Mount. So Matthew chapter 5 through 7. And it's one of my favorite like chunks of the Bible. And just I think there's so much goodness in it. There's so much practical
Yeah.
way of like how do you follow Jesus? It's like read Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
You know, I actually was even in a conversation with someone who just went through a breakup yesterday, and like really devastating. It was a friend of mine. It wasn't a student. It was a friend of mine, but just kind of like he was just feeling like this tension between just feelings and all this stuff. And basically, in our conversation, I was like, "Dude, you should really read like Sermon on the Mount. I
Yeah.
think it's a good heart check. It's such a good heart check." But before we get into even the Sermon on the Mount, because we're like diving in to chapter 5, right?
Yep.
But it's like, wait, so what about 1 through 4? And what about the whole what is Matthew like? Because Matthew writes it, and the cool thing about Matthew is that he's in the book of Matthew. So
Yeah.
Matthew was a disciple of Jesus, and he actually inserts his little like come to Jesus moment in his own Bible, in his own book. So do you want to read Matthew 9?
Yeah. Matthew 9, verses 9 through 13 says, As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? On hearing this, Jesus said, It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners. And that, he references Hosea 6:6, that I desire mercy, not sacrifice.
So like you see now even Matthew, like his come to Jesus moment, tax collector, very much outcast, like like kind of like looked down upon, right? Because that's a big part of the Sermon on the Mount. So I'm kind of going there somewhere, but Jesus is like inviting people like into this new way, right? And in his mission, right? And so then even kind of going back, so we kind of like you understand Matthew now, very like outcast. Well, but Jesus was like, hey, I want to have dinner with you. Everyone else was like, what? Like, why? What are you doing that for? Jesus, like that. This is a guy that we don't, associate with. But Jesus is saying, no, I'm here for him, right? And then we get into Matthew, and really, like the way I like to define Matthew is like it is about discipleship. It's about, at church the other day, Mike talked about multiplying. Like I think Matthew is all about that. It ends with the famous commissioning, the Great Commission, where it's like, go, hey, disciples, go and make disciples of all nations, right? And baptize them in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit. And so, but even we start with chapter 1, and what's chapter 1?
The whole list of names, which is called genealogy.
Yeah. And it's a little boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, genealogy. Yeah. Basically, it's like the family line. Like, hey, this dad had this kid, and this kid had this kid, this kid. And for a lot of us, we gloss over it. However, and here's something to know, but there is theology in the genealogies. Whenever you see a genealogy, they're not just like, oh, here's like the family line that like these names that you can hardly pronounce, right?
Yep.
Because they're really hard, like Hezron, Amenadab, Amenadab.
Hard.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I don't know what this means, but there is a lot of meaning in the genealogies, right? The meaning of Matthew is like he starts like chapter 1 verse 1, and he's like an account of the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Like, so here's the family lineage. He's trying, again, Matthew is writing to a specific audience. And so as these people are reading and maybe even hearing like this thing, it starts with this guy named Abraham. And Abraham is the guy that God came to and said, hey, I'm going to like give you a baby, but then through that baby, there's going to be like this whole family that then becomes a nation. And there's a promise. It's like, hey, I'm going to redeem and rescue the world through your family, which is Jesus.
Yeah.
So people are like, whoa, this, as they're reading it, they're going like, oh, this guy Jesus is the one that is, like that God came down to rescue us from our sins.
So we've been waiting literally since Genesis.
Yes. Yeah. Because then it's even Genesis 3. There's like the seed, like in Genesis 3, the seed. And then you get David in it. That's another big name. That like, basically the Messiah, the one who was coming to rescue, had to come through a specific like family line, right? So we see that, and then we start seeing, Jesus gets baptized, and then there's the temptation of Jesus in chapter 4. And then after that, he comes back and he starts doing a lot of ministry. And he's like healing people. I said, well, here, I'll just read it, because this is basically like a summary of Jesus' ministry. So it says, well, here, do you want to read it? Do you want to go Matthew 4?
Matthew 4.
23 through 25.
23 through 25. Perfect. It says, Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness among the people. News about him spread all over Syria, and people brought to him all who were ill with various diseases, those suffering severe pain, the demon-possessed, those having seizures, and the paralyzed, and he healed them. Large crowds from Galilee, the Decapolis, Jerusalem, and Judea, and the region around the Jordan followed him. Across the Jordan followed him.
So
cool.
This is like just a general summary, like kind of Matthew just throwing out like he's just doing all these cool things, like healing people. But who is he healing? Like, who is he like engaging with?
Healing the poor, the oppressed, those who like would not have a name to them even. Like they're so outcast of society.
That's a good word. Like the don't even name, like the unimportant, the low of the lows, right? So, because again, like I know we have like chapters and verses in our Bible, and that is really helpful. Yeah. Like really, really helpful. But again, when Matthew was writing this, he wasn't putting in these numbers. Yeah. He was just writing a story, an account of like Jesus's life, right? And so he writes that right before we get to the Sermon on the Mount. So it's like all of a sudden Jesus like with all these people that no one else associates with, right? The low of the lows. Then in that last verse that you said, large crowds followed him. Okay. Then read chapter 5, verse 1.
Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. Yeah.
So when he saw the crowds, because it just said the large crowds followed him. Who was this crowd?
It was the crowd of the outcasts.
The unimportants, right? The unimportant, like according to society.
Right.
Obviously, Jesus thought of them as valuable and important.
And
right?
we'll get into that in a minute.
And so, but then he saw the crowds, and he's like, when he gets up on the mountain, and in him like teaching these people, like taking time to deliver like a message and like give wisdom. It's not like oh, here's the teacher again giving a boring lecture, like maybe how we all might think of that at school. This was like a huge honor to be sitting like under a rabbi, and in like him taking the time to that is like, it's like, whoa, you value me that you value me that much, you know? That's how we should be reading this and taking it, because that's how they were. Yeah. And it says his disciples came to him. Like, this is not just his like 12 disciples. This is like the audience, the crowds. Then he began to teach them, saying, and then this is like, the introduction of the whole sermon, because the sermon's long, and it's like, how many topics does he get into? I don't even know. Like this,
so many.
So a lot of different topics. But he starts it with like this very provocative statement, which is called the Beatitudes. And on Wednesday, we're recording Tuesday, but tomorrow I'm preaching on what is a beatitude. What does it mean? What does blessed mean? Blessed means makarios. That's the Greek word, and it's basically like flourishing, congratulations, or what I'm going to use on Wednesday is living the good life. So he basically is saying, you are living the good life, or like the poor in spirit are living the good life. So the poor people are living the good life. The mourners, the people who are really, if you're really, really sad, you are living the good life. So it's like this really upside down, countercultural, like, wait, what do you mean by that kind of statement? So, and then a macrism is basically a makarios statement. So Jesus is giving this like basically a macrism is a statement on like who really is living the good life. And so Jesus is, because for us, we're always told like, hey, do this will make you happy. Like, hey, the people like living like the real good life are the rich, like the popular, the famous. I think all of us at some point thought of ourselves like as wanting to be famous or like high status. Like none of us think like, oh, I want to be homeless or I want to be looked down on or like the bottom of society. Like we always want to be these kind of like,
like you look up to like the D1 athletes and the people who are like top of your goals in life. Yeah. You're like, that's when I hit that, or if I ever hit that, like that would be the good life. Right there.
Yeah. But Jesus is not, I mean, not saying that those like they're not valuable or something. But he is just saying like, hey, this is truly like living the good life. So how much do we want to get into it though?
Like right now? I mean,
we can do a couple.
Yeah, do like the first two.
Okay. So blessed, so like flourishing. We'll use that for this podcast. Like flourishing are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. So kingdom of heaven, that's a big deal, right? And he's saying like, it's not like, hey, you get to be in it. He's like literally saying like it's yours. Like it is their kingdom. Like God is actually, Jesus is like giving them like ownership of this kingdom, like with him. And we'll see that like even more with when it gets to verse 13 through 16, the salt and light. He calls them salt and light, which that's a really cool part. So I guess we'll do that one later. But again, it kind of matches what he's saying right here. But poor in spirit, like when you read that, what do you think?
I think the opposite of like a Pharisee at the time, like someone who doesn't feel equipped or knowledgeable, someone who feels far from God, someone who's kind of mourning what they want a relationship with God to look like. For that audience. And then for me, like poor in spirit is like when I'm feeling hopeless or desperate. That like God feels far feeling, and the people around me who are really knowledgeable in the word, or they look like outside looking in, they look like they're living the good life. Like when I kind of compare myself to that is when I feel poor in spirit.
It reminds me of Luke 18, verse 9 through 14. The parable of the Pharisee and the tax. When you said Pharisee, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'll just read it. He told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and looked down on everyone else. So basically right there, like you already get it. But two men went up to the temple to pray. One, a Pharisee, which again is like kind of like high status. I mean, very much high status, like looked like kind of revered, and like praised. Like, oh wow, like they, they're the ones, and the other a tax collector, which we already kind of talked about how they were looked upon.
Yeah, looked down on, outcast.
The Pharisee was standing and praying like this about himself. So the Pharisee goes, God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, greedy, unrighteous, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give a tenth of everything I get. So he's like, kind of thanking God that like you made him so amazing, I guess, But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but kept striking his chest and saying, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you, this one went down, so a sinner, end quote. Jesus ends the parable going, I tell you, this one went down to his house justified rather than the other, because everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. And so, I mean, and we see that, like, Jesus is exalting, like, the humble, like, the like the ones who know that they need, like, God, right? Yeah. Like, this Pharisee's like, dude, I'm so glad, like, you made me awesome, whatever, I'm not like them. But he's like, Lord, have mercy. Like, I'm not, has this, like, very much humble posture to himself. And Jesus says in both verses, like, I'm going to elevate you. Like, this is your, like, the kingdom is yours, And then what's the next one?
Those who mourn.
Yeah, so flourishing. So you are flourishing. Flourishing are those who mourn. Mourn, grieving, sad. And I've heard this one being like, if you're in like a sad space, I guess. But I've also heard it for like mourning for like the injustice around you. Like, have you ever just looked out into the world and go like, oh, like my heart like breaks for like the brokenness and like the just gnarly things that are going on. Like I even think, for students, like students who get bullied, or students who just like have a hard time like with friendships or anything like that, like something like bad has happened to them. Where I'm just like, man, my heart like breaks, and even like maybe a little bit of like anger, like for them.
But flourishing are people who feel that.
Which is like, that's not fun. Like it's not fun to feel sad, right? Or like your heart is just completely broken. But he's saying like, flourishing are those people because they will be comforted. And by who?
By God.
By God, right? Like, so like, because God will comfort you. Like, it kind of brings back to the last one, like the spiritual needy, like those who know they need God.
So it sounds like the genealogies as it starts in Matthew is setting up like, hey, here's who God is, and he cares, and he's with you, and like this is it. And then it's setting up like even you, the outcasts and the people who are so marginalized and oppressed. And then it sets up like even right now, like even you in this moment are blessed and can live the good life. It's so cool.
I think it's almost an underdog story. Like Jesus is, a lot of people in this world get excluded. They do. Like, I mean, I think about even school. Like how many people, at the lunch tables or what the cliques or whatever, like there's so many times where people get excluded. And I think Jesus right here in this very provocative like introduction is just including those who have been excluded, and saying, hey, like level playing field, like I see you as valuable, like I see you as important. So, and we can stop there because I want to get more into like in depth. I don't want this video to go super long. But we'll get into each beatitude, which is about like kind of 8 or 9 depending on how you count on them. But
very nice.
That's it. Okay, awesome. So we have verse 5 next podcast.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.